and I'm very much looking forward to that. I'm making tacos. I feel like readers are gonna get whiplash. Chapter 3, pretty good. I need to talk to my CPs, okay? I would have to change the ending. Well, hello and welcome to a brand new vlog. So in case you're new here, hi, hello, my name is Diane. I work in film and television as an on-set props person, but I'm also working on becoming a self-published author, and I make videos about that and other things here on YouTube, and you're watching one of them, so subscribe if you like the vibe. Okay, so this past week at work was my first week back shooting after 2 weeks technically off from shooting. I had 1 week off, 1 week was prep, and then this last week was our first week back shooting, and we were mainly on location. So pretty cold, windy, rainy, all those. I was in the elements a lot this week, so it was pretty exhausting. I didn't get any actual Ben work done during the week. I mainly used my little bit of free time to just edit my YouTube videos so I can get some vlogs out regularly this month. That's definitely a priority for me, so I worked on that, and now this weekend, today and tomorrow, I'm going to be spending as much time as I possibly can working on Ben. So today at some point, it's not quite set in stone yet, I'm going to be hanging out with a friend for a little bit, and then tomorrow I do have Easter family dinner at my parents' house. But I think between today and tomorrow, I will have at least 5 or 6 hours of just uninterrupted writing time, and I'm very much looking forward to that. I woke up this morning kind of just naturally at around 7, it was like just after 7 a.m., which is lovely. I mean, I've been waking up pretty much at 6 a.m. all week, so I think my body was still in that flow. So yeah, I woke up a little bit after 7, and then I just kind of started cleaning my space because it needed it. So I did not a thorough clean, but kind of a general sweep and clean and tidy.
Stars up above me, stars in my eyes, fire below me, starting to rise. I'm my own captain, hanging on tight tonight. Pointless to try and turn back the time. I've never been this old in my life. Load up my spaceship, tear through the sky. I might leave regrets and wishes and hopes.
And then I made some breakfast, and now we're here, and I'm about to get started on some Ben work. Last I left off, I was still working my way through the prologue. I feel like I'm gonna finish that soon, within the hour. The more I'm working on it, the more I'm kind of questioning certain things, but in a good way, I think. So I'm gonna continue to kind of just work my way through. There are some things that I still need to kind of figure out as far as the telling of the story. I think until someone else reads it, I'm just gonna be kind of, I can't until somebody else reads it, because I know the story, like it makes sense to me. So I need somebody else who hasn't been thinking about this story for the last 3 years. I need somebody fresh. I need fresh eyes, okay? A fresh brain on this story. But anyway, we're gonna start working on the prologue. I think I'm like 2 pages in. Mainly right now, I've added some dialogue. I've added, a little bit more, what's this? I don't know what this is, but I've added that. I fixed a few inconsistencies as far as like timeline and character details. So I'm gonna continue to do that. I might need to add a little bit more dialogue. I think it doesn't quite feel finished yet, so.
I don't wanna wake up and let my dreams die. This moment I'll make it mine. Don't tell me I'm wasting time. I'll show you what I'm made of and give my dreams life. I'll put it all on the line, just like
Okay, update. I have officially finished the 3rd draft of the prologue. I definitely think it is better in the sense that I have added some dialogue that I feel like I needed. I've fixed inconsistencies and character details and stuff like that. It's better in that sense. Now, whether or not the prologue is necessary, whether or not this is kind of the best approach, those are questions that I will definitely be turning to my CPs for help with. And I think I just need to think about it more and let it kind of sit. I feel like with every draft so far, I have been kind of uncovering more of what, you know, the meat of the story is and what the themes are and what I'm trying to say. So I feel like the more that I work on the story, you know, with every draft, I don't know how many drafts this will be. I feel like, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. I need to talk to my CPs, okay? I can't do anything until I talk to my CPs. I think definitely with every draft, I've been getting closer, you know? So it feels good. So right now I'm going to go into the Nano website. I'm going to add my word count, 3,500 words, which is equal to 1 chapter. If you didn't watch my last video, essentially, because the only option to track progress in NaNoWriMo is word count, I've just converted my 5-chapter goal into words. So every chapter that I finish is equal to 3,500 words. So this graph is definitely gonna look a little funky, but yeah, that's what we got so far. I won't be hanging out with my friend tonight until like 4 or 5 p.m. So I think right now I'm gonna do a little bit of food prep. I'm gonna make lunch. I'm gonna make myself a nice salad because I've been craving a salad. And then do a little bit of editing, maybe some secret project work. Ooh, I should do some secret project work today. But then I'll do a little bit more writing. I haven't decided. Okay, so I'm done the prologue. There we go. It's actually 2,097 words. I definitely took out some stuff, but I might have added more. Than I took out. I don't know, but it's 2,097 words currently, draft 3 of the prologue. Now, chapter 1, oh god, let's look. Chapter 1 needs a lot of work. I think it's mostly like cutting because it's very info dumpy. And I've already cut out so much info dump, like exposition stuff from the 0 draft to like the 2nd draft, but it still feels a little too dumpy. Like I need like dumpy and like repetitive. So I need to work on that. But yeah, so chapter 1 needs a lot of work and it is, oh gosh, it's still going. Chapter 1 is 5,908 words currently. I would love to get it under 5,000. That would be great. We'll see how it goes. But I'm wondering if I should tackle chapter 1 now or go somewhere else in the book to another chapter that is shorter / doesn't need as much work, just to kind of, you know, like I wanted to start with the easier chapters first, but I'm such a chronological writer / editor that it's hard for me to like skip around really because it's just hard. Like I need to do it in order, you know what I mean? Like I need to know. I haven't decided yet which chapter I'm going to edit next. Maybe chapter 1, maybe something a little further in, maybe chapter 24 because super short. It is super short. It's probably under 1,000 words. Let me see. It's 706 words. Yeah, I feel like readers are going to get whiplash with my chapter lengths. I need to rein things in a little bit. Make things a little less turbulent, you know? So yeah, that's the update. I finished the prologue. I finished technically 1 chapter of my 5-chapter goal for the month. Feels good. And yeah, I'll let you know what my next move is in the draft, whether that's chapter 1 or whatever chapter. Hello, so it is the next day. It's April 9th. It's Easter. If you celebrate Easter, happy Easter. Tonight I have family dinner at my parents' house, so probably around 5:30 is when I need to head over there. I have a call with a friend today around 2 p.m. So far this morning, all I've really done is I worked a little bit on my crochet project. I'll show you what my progress is. I haven't worked on this blanket in weeks, so it doesn't look very different. Technically, the progress is that I added this bit last night. I'm almost at the point where I'm gonna switch colors to the light gray. I have one more little kind of weave thing to do, and then I'm switching, which is gonna be fun. Very exciting. So I did a little bit of that this morning because I also did a little bit of this last night, and now I'm just in the crochet mood, you know what I mean? I love doing it. It's just finding the time, making the time. So then I did a little bit of reading because I have been struggling a little bit with figuring out, okay, so draft 3 of Ben, developmental edits, absolutely, but I'm also now really trying to kind of nail down the narrative style and figure out exactly how I want to write this story. So I'm actually going to be cooking while I'm talking because I'm really hungry and I want to make some breakfast. I'm making tacos. Okay, why not? I got my ground meat, my veggie ground. I don't really love ground beef. And so in my vegan days, this is how I would make my tacos, with this meat, and it was so delicious. No. One of the most annoying things is like when you're loading your dishwasher, and I'm a single person, so it takes me like a few days to get a full load of dishes. And so you put something in the dishwasher that like you don't want to have to wash, but then you need it before you can do a load of dishes because you're a single person, so you don't have a million pots and pans. Anyway, it's so annoying when you have to pull something dirty out of the dishwasher and like actually wash it by hand. Okay, so I'm gonna talk a little bit more about Ben and kind of what's going on there. I think I've mentioned this before, but Ben is written in first person past tense. My narrator is the main character and she's telling the story. When I first wrote it, the zero draft has a heavier sort of retrospective element to it. Essentially, my main character is telling the story after the events have happened. I feel like typically when you think of like a retrospective narrative, you think of more like coming of age stories where there's a big temporal distance between the experiences that are happening in the story and the narrator when they're telling the story. Like it's usually somebody looking back on something from their childhood or something like that. And in Ben, technically the narrator is telling the story a few days after the events of the story end. So I don't know if this is spoilery or not. Is it? And so in the zero draft of Ben, when I first wrote it, I had more sort of pronounced elements of that like retrospective style where the narrator is sort of interjecting and putting in things where you can tell that she knows how it ends already. And I did like having those things in there and I felt like that made sense and I still feel like it makes sense. However, in draft 2 I did take a lot of those things out because I felt like I wanted to keep more of that narrative immediacy, even though it is technically past tense. It still feels closer than when the narrator kind of interjects things and alludes to things, sort of. So in my draft 2, I took a lot of those things out just to kind of keep it more immediate. I wanted to keep the immediacy. But now as I'm going into draft 3 and I have to sort of really nail down my style and figure out how I want to tell this story. I think, first of all, I think I'm overthinking, potentially. But I feel like I want to bring back that sort of retrospective element again, but not in a heavy way. I don't want to be heavy-handed about it because I don't think it needs it. And I also feel like because technically the retrospection is so close, like it is pretty temporally close to the events of the narrative, I feel like I don't need too much of that retrospective element, but I love the idea of adding in little tiny bits of like the narrator knows what's coming. I just don't know how it's gonna read and if I'm gonna be able to do it well. Essentially, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to pull off the retrospective narrative well. There's also a part of me that wants to kind of take out the retrospective element and just kind of keep it your sort of run-of-the-mill first person past tense narrative with that with that sense of immediacy, even though it is technically past tense. The thing is, something happens at the end of the story. Like there's a thread that goes through the story. There's like this whole thing that's throughout the whole story and it kind of, the end sort of wraps it up and it's like a thing and I want to keep that. I want to keep that in. I feel like if I were to take out the retrospective element of it, I would have to change the ending. I don't know, I'm kind of in an overthinking state lately going into this third draft because I have to be focusing more on this stylistic stuff in my actual narrative. So I've been, essentially this morning I've just been kind of doing some reading and some research on retrospective narrative and, the pros and cons and the elements of it and how to do it well. There isn't a lot that I have found. So I think what I need to do is read a few books that have the same sort of narrative style that I'm trying to achieve and see how it's done in those books. I decided on getting a medium salsa for this, which, if you know me at all, I'm not so good with the spice. I'm also not so good at opening jars. Dear Lord. There she is. She just needs a little spank. I'm almost ready for these tacos. Oh, I need to heat up my taco shells. Can't forget the taco shells. Did I buy taco shells? Where are my taco shells? Oh, I'm a little blind. It's okay. We're here. We got them. These are fun. Look at these. Ranch blasted taco shells. Okay, I'm going to pop these in the oven for a few minutes, finish getting all my things together, and then I'll talk a little bit more about what's going on today. All right, it's time for a taste test. Here we have the ranch blasted taco shell. I'm going to start with the cheese on the bottom. The pre-shredded diet cheese I don't love because it's just I love it if it's like on pizza, but it's not great for things that you like put cheese on. I don't know. Okay, here we go. Is that enough? Next is what? Sour cream. And then a little bit of that salsa. And then the little shredded lettuce. This is the finished work. I'll let you take a look. There you go. There's like so much seasoning on the outside of this thing. All right, here we go. Taste test. Oh my god. This is so good. It's definitely a salt bomb. There's a lot of things with salt in here, but oh my god, it is yummy. That ranch blasted taco shell, I'm never going back to regular taco shells. I only ever want my taco shells ranch blasted, so there's that. I never want this to end. Clearing up my sinuses. Oh my god, I'm not okay. I'm unwell. Yeah, that's delicious. That's all I got to say. That's all I got. All right, it is Ben time. Okay. So it's about 12:45 right now. I have to get on a call at about 2 p.m. So I have a little bit of time. I have about an hour and 15 minutes to work on Ben. I think what I'm gonna do is, as much as I want to just do it in a chronological way, I think I'm gonna skip to, I'm not gonna go too far into the draft. Chapter 3 is long. Chapter 4. What's going on in Chapter 4? Chapter 4 also needs a lot of work. Okay, Chapter 5. Chapter 5 I think is short. Chapter 6? Okay, I've decided. So I'm gonna skip chapters 1 to 5 because those need a lot of work. I mean, chapter 3 is, I like it. Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 3, pretty good. Chapter 4 is, what happens in Chapter 4? Chapter 4 is gonna require a lot of work in the sense that I need to change a scene. I'm basically replacing a scene. So I have the scene that I have currently, like the purpose of that scene is gonna stay the same in the new scene, but it's gonna be better executed, I think, in this new scene that I've thought of. Chapter 5 is definitely not good. It's the chapter where my main character finally decides to do something that starts in chapter 6, and like the things that kind of push her to make the decision just aren't good. They're not good. They're not good enough. You know, so I need to do a lot of work in chapter 5 as well. Chapter 6 is, you know, it's not the shortest, but I feel like the work that I need to do for it is smaller scale. So I'm gonna tackle that first. Chapter 6 is essentially the break into Act 2. While I was writing the second draft in Scrivener, on the side in the little notes box, I wrote myself notes for draft 3. I have two kind of sections of notes. So the first one is changes that I've made in draft 2, like main big things that I changed and that I just wanted to note so that I can quickly go to the chapter and see like what changed from the zero draft to the second draft. But then I also have a section at the bottom where I wrote myself notes for draft 3. So I'm going to take this scene by scene and start with the first scene of chapter 6. Okay, so the only note that I have here for the first scene of chapter 6 is actually just a note to myself to add something earlier in the book into chapter 3 technically. Let me just write chapter 3 here so I can remember that's where it would be. Okay, so my goal for this session is to at least finish the first scene, which is not long, of chapter 6. Literally overthinking the first sentence. Okay, so it's almost 2 p.m. I'm gonna be taking a little break on Ben work. I will likely do some more when I get home from dinner at my parents' house. Right now I need to get ready for my phone call, and then I'll probably do a little bit of secret project stuff in between the call and when I have to leave for my parents. And that's pretty much my day. So during this session I did work on, I'm pretty much finished the first scene of chapter 6, but there's stuff just at the very end. There's some like dialogue and a little bit of the narrative prose that I need to make better. So the majority of changes that I made today to this scene were just sort of smaller things, like taking out repetitive stuff. I changed some sentences. I can't help it. I can't help do line level edits. I honestly think that line editing is just going to be a part of every step of my writing process. Like I can't just leave it for the very end. I will definitely do a more concentrated line edit pass when I get to that stage, but I just can't help doing it at every stage so far of my revision process. I can't help it, but I'm trying not to get too fixated on it. So I did a few little line level-y things. I changed a few things for clarity and for like believability. And I do want to say that I'm basically done this scene, but the last little paragraph of this scene I'm not loving. I don't love the way I've written it, so I do want to go back in there and fix that a little bit. And yeah, so basically as far as progress that I've made during this second weekend of April camp, I managed to finish the prologue and start chapter 6. I'm definitely feeling a little bit behind as far as my progress. I want to get 5 chapters done this month, and at this rate I might only get to like 3 chapters. I don't know, maybe 2. This week at work we're kind of all over the place. We're at the studio, we're in 2 different locations, but we're also switching to a night shoot on Friday night. So Monday to Wednesday, normal hours, 7:30 in the morning until, you know, about 8-9 p.m. Thursday we have a later start at like 2:30, so that'll take us to like 3:30, 4 a.m. And then Friday night we don't start work until 7:30 p.m. and it's like 10 hours of night shooting. So yeah, so that's it. That's what's going on. Let me know how you're doing. Let me know how your April Camp NaNo is going. Let me know how your project is going. Let me know all the things, okay? So thank you so much for watching, and if you got to the end of this video, comment down below, stay gold, because you are golden. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.